Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another deep dive. Before we jump into today's topic, just a quick reminder, if you enjoy this kind of content and want to see more, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Your support really helps us keep these explorations going. And speaking of exploring fascinating stories, have you checked out the amazing offer with your Audible subscription yet? There's a link right in the description below where you can listen to a completely free audiobook. Seriously, it's a fantastic opportunity you won't want to miss. Okay, great. With that said, let's get into the heart of today's dive. We're plunging into one of the most intense and pivotal books in the Harry Potter series, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. For this exploration, we've got our sources lined up, a pretty comprehensive video summary from YouTube, and detailed info from a general description of the movie, which touches on production stuff and, the differences from the book. So our main mission today, especially for you, our listener, the learner profile, who wants to understand without feeling overwhelmed, is to pull out the real nuggets from this story. We want you to walk away with a clear, engaging grasp of the crucial events, the big twists, and the deeper meanings in Goblet of Fire, all kind of condensed for easy digestion. Like I said, we're working from that YouTube summary for the key plot points, and the movie description adds some extra context. With these, we're going to unpack this really significant stage in Harry Potter's journey together. All right, let's get started. How about we begin with that opening the YouTube summary gives us?
Yeah, what immediately grabs you about that summary's opening is just how dark and uh, ominous the whole atmosphere is. Right away, we're in a graveyard, loads of symbolism there, watching this secret meeting. You've got a very weakened Lord Voldemort, Wormtail, and this mysterious other guy.
Plotting against Harry right from the start.
Exactly. It sets this tone of conspiracy and, hidden danger straight away. How does that strike you compared to the maybe more typical openings we've seen before?
It's a real jolt, isn't it? Usually, even with the threats, there's a bit of a breather first, maybe at the Dursleys or something. But here, it's straight into the darkness. And that warning from Nagini, the snake.
That feeling of being watched.
Yeah, it just ramps up the unease. And then the sheer cold-blooded murder of the Muggle caretaker. It's just brutal, especially compared to the relative safety you might expect, even in a grim place like a cemetery.
Absolutely. And that violence connects directly to Harry, doesn't it? It's not just something we see. It filters into his mind through that really disturbing nightmare that wakes him up.
Right, at the Weasleys.
That connection, that dream link between Harry and Voldemort. It's not totally new, but here it feels much more intense. It kind of foreshadows how dangerous that link is going to become. What do you think that tells us about their bond?
I think it highlights that even though Voldemort was defeated before, that connection was never really severed, was it? These nightmares are like constant reminders that the darkness is still there, lurking, and somehow Voldemort's still influencing Harry even in this weakened state.
It's a persistent threat.
But thankfully, like the summary points out, the nightmare gives way to a more hopeful morning. Harry wakes up in the warmth and chaos of the burrow with his friends right before that big trip to the Quidditch World Cup.
That shift is really effective, moving from the nightmare to the excitement of the World Cup. It sets up this promise of a huge, joyful, magical community event.
Which makes the darkness that follows feel even sharper.
Exactly. It's like the calm before a really big storm. What details about that trip to the Cup stood out to you?
Well, the journey itself is classic Wizarding World fun. That old boot turning out to be a portkey. For anyone maybe less familiar, a portkey is just a charmed object that zaps you instantly to a preset location.
So grab an old boot, suddenly you're at the World Cup.
Imagine. And then the scene itself, wizards and witches from everywhere. Incredible tense, this buzzing, festive energy. And of course, that unavoidable, slightly tense run-in with the Malfoy.
Always there to remind us of the divisions.
Yeah, the prejudices simmering under the surface of the wizarding world.
What I find interesting there is how, even in this big celebration, you get these subtle hints of the darkness to come. The Malfoys being there with their known leanings and, frankly, their snobbery. It's a constant reminder that not everyone's there with pure intentions. Do you think their appearance is just a reminder or something more?
I think it's both. It reminds us the wizarding world isn't unified. There are opposing factions. But it also sort of foreshadows that these tensions are about to explode much more violently. And the match itself, Bulgaria versus Ireland, must have been incredible.
And Ron's obsession with Victor Crumb.
Oh yeah, his hero worship. Which, as the summary notes, becomes pretty relevant later on. But all that excitement just shatters with the sudden attack by the Death Eaters after the match.
That attack is such a crucial turning point. It really ends any sense of carefree fun and signals this growing danger. Death Eaters, Voldemort's followers, showing up so brazenly at such a public event, it shatters the illusion of safety.
It shows the threat is still very real, even if Voldemort himself isn't fully back yet. What does the boldness of that attack tell us about the Death Eaters' confidence?
It suggests they feel strong enough, maybe emboldened enough, to cause terror openly. They act with impunity, which hints that either the Ministry of Magic is weak, or maybe there are sympathizers within it.
And right in the middle of that chaos, Harry gets separated, sees the dark mark conjured in the sky, that terrifying symbol.
A truly chilling image.
And then there's that unidentified figure who seems to be heading towards Harry but flees when Ron, Hermione, and the Ministry Aurors arrive. It's frantic and leaves so many questions. Who was that? Why run from the Aurors?
That whole sequence raises big questions about who's involved and what their motives are. Running from the Ministry suggests a connection to the Death Eaters, or at least something illicit. From that chaos, though, we shift back to the more familiar setting of the Hogwarts Express.
Yeah, back to the routine, but obviously overshadowed by what just happened. Hermione, always practical, urges Harry to write to his godfather, Sirius Black, about the dream and the World Cup attack.
That's a crucial connection for Harry.
Definitely. It's good he has that support, even if it's secret and long distance. Sirius always offers a different perspective, warns him about dangers.
Sirius's constant worry really reflects the growing unease and the seriousness of the threats Harry's facing. And then they arrive at Hogwarts, and bam, the big announcement about the Triwizard Tournament.
Total surprise, right? This legendary event bringing in students from 2 other major magic schools. You can just feel the buzz in the Great Hall, awe, excitement, maybe a little fear about how dangerous the tournament is known to be.
For anyone new to this, imagine a high-stakes, magical inter-school competition.
The scale of the Triwizard Tournament is huge. It's meant to be about cooperation, cultural exchange between wizarding communities in Europe, but it also brings this element of intense, high-risk competition right into the school, and that promise of eternal glory for the winner.
That's a powerful motivator, but also potentially dangerous.
And the arrival of the visiting schools, the Beauxbaton students, led by the very tall Madame Maxime, making their elegant entrance.
And the Durmstrang students, more intense, led by Igor Karkaroff.
And Victor Crumb is with them. No wonder Ron was freaking out his Quidditch idol right there.
The arrival of these foreign students shakes things up. It creates new dynamics, potential rivalries, not just for the tournament, but socially too. And having figures like Karkaroff there with his known past
Adds a layer of unease.
Definitely. And just as the welcome feast is underway, we get the interruption from Alastair Mad-Eye Moody, the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher.
An Auror with a, let's say, intense reputation, known for being relentless against dark wizards. His presence alone changes the atmosphere, makes the threats feel more real.
Hiring Moody is a significant move by Dumbledore. Moody's known for being brilliant, maybe a bit paranoid, but suggests Dumbledore anticipates trouble and wants the students prepared. His constant vigilance adds to the tension.
Then Barty Crouch Sr., the ministry official, makes that crucial announcement about the age restriction. No one under 17 can enter.
Imagine the disappointment sweeping through the younger students.
Right. The chance for glory, snatched away by a rule.
That age line adds controversy. That promise of eternal glory is tempting for any young wizard wanting to prove themselves, and being told no probably just makes them want it more, maybe even try to bend the rules. Do you think that stopped everyone?
Oh, definitely not. We see some creative attempts later, and then the unveiling of the Goblet of Fire itself. Dumbledore explains the rules, how eligible students can enter, and Karkaroff steps up first to put a name in for Durmstrang.
You can feel the seriousness, though.
Yeah, the weight of the competition. The goblet is presented as this impartial, magical judge. It's choice binding. Karkaroff going first shows how much Durmstrang wants this.
Then we get Moody's first defense against the dark arts class.
Wow. Talk about impact. Demonstrating the 3 unforgivable curses, Avada Kedavra, Cruciatus, Imperio, right there on spiders.
You can see why sensitive students like Neville Longbottom were so deeply affected. These curses are the absolute worst of dark magic.
Especially the Cruciatus curse for Neville, given his parents.
Exactly. That demonstration is brutal, but maybe necessary teaching. It makes the students understand the real horror of the dark arts. What do you think Moody's goal was, showing them so graphically?
I think maybe twofold. One, show them the reality of the danger out there. Demystify the dark arts, make them see the destructive power, but maybe also instill the importance of resisting them, not giving in.
Makes sense. After that intense class, We see the eligible students putting their names in. Cedric Diggory, Hufflepuff's hope.
And the Weasley twins.
Huh?
Their hilarious failed attempt to trick the age line with an aging potion, even after Hermione warned them. Dumbledore's magic was too strong. Their optimism sometimes outweighs their common sense.
It adds some humor, but also shows how tempting that glory is. And then Victor Crumb enters his name too, raising the stakes even higher.
And then, the moment that changes everything, Dumbledore reveals the champions chosen by the Goblet: Victor Crumb for Durmstrang, Fleur Delacour for Beauxbatons, Cedric Diggory for Hogwarts. 3 champions, one for each school.
As expected.
But then, the Goblet flares up again and spits out a 4th name: Harry Potter.
That's the catalyst, isn't it? That inexplicable 4th champion throws everything into chaos. Disbelief, anger, confusion, and real worries sweep the Great Hall. He's only 14.
Exactly. 3 years under the age limit. The reactions are instant side. Some think he cheated, others are just baffled, and many are deeply concerned for his safety. Harry himself keeps saying he didn't put his name in. The professors are facing an unprecedented situation.
It's a huge mess. Harry insists he didn't do it, but the Goblet's magic is binding. What do? Ultimately, Barty Crouch Sr., representing the Ministry, rules that the tournament must continue with Harry as the 4th champion.
Despite McGonagall's very strong objections, understandably, she's worried sick about him.
And adding another layer of mystery, Dumbledore tasks Moody with keeping a close eye on Harry. What do you make of Crouch's decision there?
Well, beyond just sticking to the magical rules, maybe it suggests other forces are at play. Maybe Crouch saw an opportunity, or maybe he feared the consequences of defying the Goblet's magic. And Dumbledore telling Moody to watch Harry. It's protection, but also kind of unsettling, given Moody's unpredictable nature.
From that point on, Harry's life just gets incredibly complicated. He doesn't want to be in this dangerous tournament. His friendship with Ron hits the rocks because Ron doesn't believe him.
And Rita Skeeter starts her horrible press campaign against him. Poor Harry, he can't catch a break.
That isolation and Ron doubting him, that must have hurt deeply. Skeeter twisting everything just makes it worse, turning people against him. When you're in trouble, you need your friends, and suddenly Harry's feeling very alone. Luckily, he still has Sirius.
Yeah, those secret chats through the Gryffindor common room fire are lifelines for him. Harry tells Sirius about the nightmares, the weird stuff at the World Cup, and Sirius warns him about Karkaroff being a former Death Eater, about the odd Barty Crouch Sr., and the whole story about his son being imprisoned in Azkaban. So much crucial info in those tense talks.
Sirius's warnings are vital. They plant the idea that threats could come from anywhere, urging Harry to be cautious. Mentioning the disheartened Crouch Sr. and his son's imprisonment adds layers to the mystery around the Crouch family. Just as Ron seems to be coming around, that chat with Sirius gets cut short. Then, the next day, Hagrid secretly shows Harry the first task. Dragons.
Dragons. Actual terrifying dragons. Facing one of those at 14, no wonder Harry's terrified. And his immediate thought is to warn Cedric Diggory about it.
That says a lot about Harry's character, doesn't it? His sense of fair play, even in this intense competition.
Definitely. It's a really noble move, showing he wants to compete fairly despite everything.
It really contrasts with the suspicion surrounding him. But not everyone plays fair, of course.
No kidding. Draco Malfoy tries to curse Harry from behind, like the coward he is.
But Mad-Eye Moody sees it.
Yep, his magic eye misses nothing. And zap, Malfoy gets turned into a ferret. A moment of pure, poetic justice.
Moody's intervention, his unique brand of justice. It shows his methods are unorthodox, but may be effective in protecting Harry here. Even if questionable, his loyalty seems solid. And after that, Moody gives Harry some help for the dragon task.
Yeah, his help is basically hinting Harry should use his flying skills. Seems obvious, but facing a dragon, that advice turns out to be absolutely key.
Moody's suggestion plays to Harry's strengths. It shows Moody's cunning, even if his guidance is a bit cryptic, which brings us to the day of the first task itself.
The tension must have been unbelievable. Each champion facing a different fearsome dragon, trying to retrieve a golden egg from its nest. And Harry, naturally, draws the Hungarian Horntail.
Considered one of the most dangerous breeds, the stakes were incredibly high.
This first task really tests everything: magic skill, bravery, thinking under extreme pressure. Giving Harry the Horntail just ramped up the difficulty from the get-go.
But Harry, showing off those amazing flying skills again, manages to outmaneuver the dragon, even when his chain breaks and it chases him all around the castle grounds.
It's an incredible display of courage and skill. And against all odds, he gets the golden egg.
His flying ability and nerve under pressure were crucial. But opening the egg, that presented a whole new puzzle.
Yeah, no treasure inside. Just this horrible, piercing shriek that makes no sense. But after all that tension, there's a moment of relief. Ron finally apologizes.
Admits he was jealous,
Uh,
and that he actually did know about the dragons because his brother Charlie told him.
the truth comes out eventually. It's a big moment for their friendship, getting that trust back.
And that horrible screeching egg obviously hints at the next task, something hidden, needing deciphering. With the first task done, the focus shifts to the big social event, the Yule Ball.
Ah, the Yule Ball. Finding a date for a dance is tough for most teenagers, but for Harry and Ron, champions in the spotlight. It seems almost as scary as facing a dragon. Even Neville has a date before they do.
It brings in that element of normal teenage awkwardness amidst all the magic and danger. It highlights their social insecurities, contrasting with the bravery they need for the tournament.
Harry getting turned down by Cho Chang, Ron's disastrous attempt with a Beauxbaton student. So awkward, but also kind of funny. They end up going with the Patil twins.
But the big surprise of the night is Hermione.
Totally transformed. Elegant, radiant, and on the arm of Victor Crumb. No wonder Ron gets jealous and they have that argument.
Hermione showing up with Crumb is a big moment. It shows her growth, but also stirs up those romantic tensions within the trio. Ron's jealousy really reveals his feelings for her, changing their dynamic. Meanwhile, Harry's still dealing with his own issues.
Yeah, those recurring nightmares about Voldemort haven't stopped, reminding him of the threat. Thankfully, Cedric, grateful for the dragon warning, gives Harry a clue about the golden egg.
Which leads Harry to take a bath with the egg.
In the prefect's bathroom on the 5th floor, where he runs into moaning Myrtle. And it's Myrtle, accidentally, who helps him figure out the clue underwater. Come seek us where our voices sound.
So the egg's message points to the second task being underwater. Myrtle's accidental help as a nice touch clues come from unexpected places. The riddle sets up the next challenge.
And they figure it out. The second task is to rescue something valuable taken from them, hidden in the Black Lake, and they only have an hour. Ron and Hermione try to help Harry find a way to breathe underwater, but Moody weirdly pulls them away.
Leaving Harry seemingly stranded.
But then Neville comes through again. Gives Harry gillyweed just in time.
That magical plant that lets him breathe underwater. Neville really steps up in this book.
He does. So the second task begins. The champions dive into the Black Lake. Crumb uses partial transfiguration into a shark to save Hermione. Cedric uses a bubblehead charm to rescue Cho.
And Harry has to save Ron, but also finds Fleur's little sister, Gabrielle, unguarded.
Fleur failed to reach her, so Harry, being Harry, decides he has to save them both. It's an incredibly brave and selfless act.
The task reveals what each champion values most. Their loved ones are the treasure. Harry's determination to save both Ron and Gabrielle, even though Gabrielle wasn't his responsibility, shows his loyalty and selflessness.
That's a great point about what they had to rescue, reflecting their values. He makes sure they both get back safely, even though it means he finishes last. But his morality is rewarded. They give him second place for it. Coming out of the lake, Barty Crouch Sr. congratulates him really enthusiastically.
Followed by another strange, cryptic warning from Moody.
Yeah, it keeps the tension up. You feel like even though he succeeded, the danger isn't over. And then, things take another dark turn. Barty Crouch Sr.'s dead body is found in the forest.
Discovered by Harry and Hagrid. And compounding the seriousness, the Minister of Magic, Cornelius Fudge, refuses to suspend the tournament. He clearly disagrees with Dumbledore about how dangerous things are getting.
That political tension adds another layer to the growing threat.
Absolutely. Fudge's denial is becoming a real problem. While searching for answers, Harry explores Dumbledore's pensive.
For those listening, the pensive is a magical basin to view memories, and what Harry sees is shocking.
He witnesses Igor Karkaroff's past trial as a Death Eater, sees him betraying others to save himself. And even more stunning, he sees the trial of Barty Crouch Jr., sentenced to Azkaban by his own father.
The pensive reveals so much about these characters' pasts, the betrayals, the family tragedy surrounding the Crouches. It's crucial background.
Dumbledore finds Harry using it, but instead of being angry, explains he uses it himself to understand recent events. Harry confesses seeing Crouch Jr. in his nightmares with Voldemort.
But Dumbledore kind of dismisses it, maybe not realizing the significance yet.
Then Harry overhears that tense meeting between Karkaroff and Snape, where Karkaroff shows Snape his darkening dark mark, clearly scared.
And Snape, just to make things worse, accuses Harry of stealing ingredients for Polyjuice Potion from his stores. Suspicion is flying everywhere.
These hidden conversations and accusations just fuel the paranoia. Karkaroff's fear confirms the dark mark is active again, reinforcing the danger. Snape's accusation just adds to Harry's stress. And then we reach the final task.
The maze, a huge, magically shifting maze filled with obstacles and creatures. The school band is playing, the crowd's watching. The rule is simple. First to touch the Triwizard Cup in the center wins.
But inside the maze, strange things happen. Victor Crumb attacks Fleur, seemingly under a spell. Then he goes after Cedric, and Harry realizes Crumb is enchanted, likely with the Imperious Curse.
The third task isn't just about navigating obstacles. There's direct interference, dark magic at play within the competition itself. It shows someone is actively manipulating events.
Despite the danger, Harry and Cedric end up near the cup at the same time. In a moment of sportsmanship, they decide to take it together.
A noble gesture, sharing the win.
But leads them right into the trap. The cup is a portkey. It whisks them away from Hogwarts to a dark, eerie graveyard.
Harry instantly recognizes it from his nightmares and tries to warn Cedric, but it's too late. Wormtail appears.
And on Voldemort's command, Wormtail murders Cedric. Just like that. Avada Kedavra.
It's brutal, shocking, a complete turning point. No more games.
That Cedric's murder is devastating. It marks the end of any innocence left in the story. Voldemort's cruelty is absolute.
And then that horrifying ritual. Wormtail uses Harry's blood, forcibly taken, in a potion to restore Lord Voldemort to a physical body.
His full resurrection, a truly chilling moment. He immediately summons his Death Eaters, including Lucius Malfoy, and berates them for their disloyalty while he was gone. Voldemort is back.
In full, terrifying power, he challenges Harry to a duel. It looks hopeless.
But then something strange happens. Priori Incantatem. Their wands connect because they share the same core.
Echoes, like ghosts of Voldemort's recent victims, emerge from his wand. Cedric, Frank Bryce, even Harry's parents, they momentarily shield Harry.
It's a critical symbolic moment. The echoes, especially his parents, offer this unexpected magical protection, born from love and sacrifice, giving Harry a chance.
He uses that chance, grabs Cedric's body, grabs the cup, which is still a portkey, and transports them both back to the Hogwarts grounds. The crowd cheers, thinking they've returned victorious.
Until they see Cedric. The cheers turn to screams of horror. Cedric Diggory is dead.
The joy instantly becomes tragedy. It's a horrific end to the tournament, sending shockwaves through everyone.
Amidst the chaos, Harry tries desperately to tell everyone Voldemort is back, but many are in shock, maybe denial. Moody quickly pulls Harry away, towards his office.
And there, the final, terrible truth comes out. Moody starts raving, confessing he put Harry's name in the goblet, he guided Harry through the tasks, he made the cup a portkey, all to deliver Harry to Voldemort.
It's the ultimate betrayal, revealing the conspiracy that ran through the whole year. The person supposedly protecting Harry was the architect of the danger.
Thankfully, Dumbledore, Snape, and McGonagall burst in just in time, alerted somehow, stopping Moody before he can harm Harry. And then the final reveal.
The Moody they knew all year wasn't Moody at all. It was Barty Crouch Jr. using Polyjuice Potion. The real Alastor Moody was imprisoned the whole time.
An absolutely stunning twist explains so much of Moody's weird behavior.
Barty Crouch Jr. is captured, destined back to Azkaban. Dumbledore addresses the students, forced to tell them about Cedric's murder and, importantly, who murdered him. He has a private talk with Harry, warning him dark times are ahead.
The Beauxbatons and Durmstrang students leave under this dark cloud, and Harry, Ron, and Hermione say goodbye for the summer, knowing nothing will ever be the same now that Voldemort has returned.
That ending really sets the stage for the rest of the series. The war has truly begun again.
Okay, let's touch briefly on the movie adaptation. Directed by Mike Newell, it was the first Potter film rated PG-13, reflecting that darker tone. Big box office success, won some awards.
Yeah, the movie hits many of the key plot points we've discussed. Frank Bryce's murder, the World Cup attack, the tournament, the graveyard climax. It had to condense a very long book.
But like most adaptations, there are significant differences from the book. For instance, the book starts at the Riddle House, not the Dursleys. It omits how Wormtail found Voldemort, characters like Bertha Jorkins and Ludo Bagman are cut, and Winky the House Elf's whole subplot is gone.
Those cuts are understandable for runtime, but they do remove layers of complexity. Missing Bagman, for example, simplifies some of the plotting around the tournament manipulation.
Other differences include changes to Voldemort's resurrection scene, how Harry witnesses Cedric's death. It's more direct in the film, less detail on the Quidditch World Cup match itself. No leprechauns or villas.
The demonstration of the unforgivable curses in Moody's class is also different, fewer spiders. No Imperious curse used on students.
Right. And how the students perceive Moody initially is a bit different. Deleted scenes mentioned include running into the forest during the Death Eater attack. How Ron gets his awful dress robes is changed too.
The argument between Dumbledore and Fudge about Voldemort's return is omitted, which downplays the Ministry's denial early on. Student reactions after Cedric's death are simplified.
Also missing. The Hufflepuff common room and kitchens, the exact way Harry warned Cedric about dragons, Neville taking on lines from deleted characters, Harry's training sessions with Ron and Hermione, the whole blasted Scroots lesson.
Amos Diggory's portrayal is different, his role smaller. Hermione's SPEW campaign for House Elf rights is gone, Rita Skeeter's subplot is trimmed down, and that minor duel between Harry and Draco is cut. It's a lot of changes.
It really shows the challenge of adapting such a dense book. Even the look of Hogwarts changes a bit in this film, with Mike Newell directing and Steve Kloves returning as screenwriter. The production design for the Yule Ball, the Dragon Arena, the underwater tank for the second task, all visually impressive. And the music changed too, with Patrick Doyle composing.
Those visual and production elements definitely shaped the film's atmosphere. Kloves provided continuity, while Newell brought a fresh perspective.
So wrapping up the core story, Goblet of Fire is undeniably a dark turning point. Voldemort's return is confirmed, Cedric's death is a tragic loss, and the dangers Harry faces escalate dramatically. The tournament tests him, but also exposes the sinister threats hiding in the wizarding world.
The events really solidify that darker, more mature tone for the rest of the series. Cedric's death, Voldemort's return, these have lasting consequences. It's the end of an era of relative innocence, for sure.
For you, our learner, listening in, I think Goblet of Fire resonates on many levels. You see typical teenage challenges finding your place, friendship struggles tangled up with extraordinary danger and life or death choices, themes like hidden threats, the importance of truth even when people deny it. I think those are really relevant takeaways.
Absolutely. And things of loyal friendship, courage against overwhelming odds, loss, and sacrifice are central. They offer real food for thought about sticking to your values, even in the darkest times.
And just to leave you with something to think about, considering everything we've explored today, how do you think Harry's understanding of the wizarding world and his own destiny within it fundamentally shifts by the end of the Triwizard Tournament? And what lasting impact do you think Cedric's tragic death will have on the characters and the conflict that's clearly unfolding? Before we sign off, don't forget that link in the description for your free Audible audiobook. A great way to keep exploring amazing stories. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive into Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Until next time.